Welcome on in to the Junior and Senior Nothing But Sports podcast. I made two videos earlier, part one and part two, my college football week 4 reactions. And this is going to be my NFL week 3 reactions. Obviously, Thursday night game I already talked about on multiple occasions. Nothing really much to talk about there. Aaron Rodgers played well, and the Jets took care of business against a Patriots team that we all know, for the most part, it's not going to be very good. Not yet, anyway. Maybe they might get on the surge late at the end of the season, and then we start to look at them for next season. But this is not the year for them. And I think them beating the Bengals might have just exposed what the Bengals' problems are. And if they can get it going tonight, which they should, but again, they'll have to prove that. So we'll see. But again, great game by the Jets. Let's get straight to my team, the Saints. I warned, and you should definitely, if you're not listening to this podcast, you definitely should be, because I'm giving you all the tools and all the keys to victory. And my analysis for mostly all these games has been on point for the most part. Even though I, decide to go one way with the team or another way, my analysis has been on point pretty much the entire, out of all my picks. I was on point pretty much the entire time. So that's why you should listen into this podcast, because I'm going to give you the good stuff, give you the good analysis, give you the good critiques, and I'm going to try to respect all the players, as you should. Try to respect all of them, because they all are professional players. They might not all play up to that standard all the time, but they are professionals. So we have to try and make sure we respect these guys, to the degree that they deserve to be respected. So I said this before the game. I said this after the Cowboys game, and I said this speaking about the Eagles and Saints game before it started. I said, listen, guys, the chance of us scoring 44-plus points again is next to zero. I'm not saying we won't do it again, because, we got to play the Panthers again. We got some other teams. It could happen. But the odds of us scoring to the degree that we've scored and not being able to be stopped at all, that wasn't going to happen again. And what I wanted to see from my team is an ability to battle through adversity, play in some hard-nosed, tough football games, and find out what we're made of. Because those first two games weren't indications of what we were made of. They were indications of we had a really good game plan for 2 weeks, and two teams that could not stop what we had planned up. Now, let's get one thing clear. No Taysom Hill in this game shows a lot. It really hampers us to not have him because, again, on special teams, he's a demon, which means your guys are going to likely start up in bad field position, so that means they're going to have to drive the length of the field more often than not. He can return kicks if he so chooses. He can play tight end. He can line up and block. He can be in the receiver position and moss you. He can be in the fullback spot and block and make plays. He can be in the quarterback spot, run options, run zone reads, and occasionally throw the football. Or you can just line him up in the running back spot and let him run people over. So you can do about 7 to 8 different things with Taysom Hill. That's why he's the ultimate Swiss Army knife. And they have paid him well for that, because he can do everything. And when you have a guy who can do everything and he gets hurt, that hampers the game plan. I'm sure they had a game plan ready. It just didn't work out for us. But having him in all the ways that we can use him, all that does is help Kamara, because now what you're doing is you're telling Kamara, now we got to watch out for Hill in the backfield and him. Then you can line Shaheed up in the backfield, which I didn't really see in this game. We pulled out all the stops from the Dallas game, but I didn't see that same. We had a little plays of creativity, but I thought that this defensive line of the Eagles really stepped up. They really, every single run was met with that defensive line and a curiosity that they honestly haven't had the first 2 weeks. So even Eagles fans would tell you, if they're honest, they didn't see that coming. They may say, oh, we're going to come in and win the game, because, you're Eagles fans, you're supposed to say. But to come in and do that was unexpected. I expected this to be a dogfight, like I said. I thought we'd win the dogfight, and we came close. Derek Carr and Chris Olave, when it mattered most, came up with a great, sweet touchdown throw in the end zone. In the defense, didn't capitalize. And I'll say this about this Dennis Allen defense. We've been good to great for the last couple of years. But we have been susceptible to two things. That's holding penalties and big plays. We had a couple again. But the big plays, that was really this game. That was the game. The Saquon Barkley run and the mix-up of man coverage where three guys ran into each other. You take away you take away one of those plays, this game is over. It's not, to be honest with you, we're not having this conversation about this. So it's two big plays. So the defense, for the most part, even though they were able to move the ball up and down, we're still able to force turnovers. At times, we were able to pressure and get to Hurts in the backfield. But if you let Barkley run all over you, run up and down, side to side, all over the field, he's going to have time to be able to throw the ball, much like we did in our first 2 weeks. So I wasn't disappointed in my team because I foretold this was going to happen. The question is, how do you bounce back from adversity? Now, we weren't able to bounce back from adversity in the game, mostly because, like I said, guys just ran into each other. But what we can do is we go to Atlanta this Sunday, and after they just lost, and I'll talk about that game in a second, to the Chiefs, this is a early high-stakes division game for the team that's now 1-2 versus us who are 2-1. We could easily be tied in a division, especially with what happened to the Bucks. We'll get to that. And the Panthers, we'll get to that. But again, this is a long season. A lot of things are gonna happen. Like I said before, I don't foresee any team going undefeated, and I don't see any team not winning a game. We just saw two teams in the Packers and Giants do that. So I really think that there's definitely a lot more parity in the league. The question is going to be when it comes down to the playoffs and the championship games, are we going to see a different result, or are the Chiefs going to prevail yet again? And so far, to be quite honest with you guys, it looks like they're going to be at least in the Super Bowl again, because they've played 3 games where all 3 teams decided they were just going to give the ball to them and let them win it. I mean, they could easily be 0-3 right now, but because of the mistakes of the other team, they have decided to give the Chiefs the win. And it doesn't seem like anybody wants to beat the Chiefs because they keep making mental mistakes, procedural penalties, dropping passes, turnovers, idiotic calls, just stuff that I don't get. This team is human. They can be beat. We've seen it happen. And no matter how mediocre they play, it just seems like they find a way. You have to give them credit for finding a way to beat the Falcons. Because they definitely beat them. The Falcons didn't do themselves any favors, but they did beat them. So this game, more than the first 2, the Chiefs definitely took care of business. So, again, I'm leading into that because that's our next 2 opponents, Falcons, Chiefs. I think the Bucks are in there somewhere. So, after getting a really good look at the Falcons, first couple games, again, the Eagles could have easily won that game against the Falcons, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, it comes down to execution, and the Falcons just didn't execute at the end, and they lose. So, we'll see. But again, this Saints-Falcons game, man, this is going to be a war. This is going to be a war. A division rival. We hate this team. They hate us. For the most part, the last couple of years, we've kind of had our way with them. But again, these games have been ugly, they've been nasty, they've been rough, and I expect that again. The question is going to be, can our defense stop getting penalties, holding pass interference penalties, and can they stop giving up big plays? And for the offense, this is your first sign of adversity. How are you going to handle it? How are you going to come out on the road? Because you got to go to Atlanta, and then you got to go to Kansas City, and then you got the Bucs in there somewhere. So, again, you got some road challenges coming up against a division rival, one of the best teams in the league. How are you going to get through adversity? Again, Taysom Hill being hurt didn't help because, like I said, he can do a lot of different things, and that helps having an extra guy. But nobody else really stepped up. Cedric Wilson, this Tipton guy, none of these guys really stepped up. Shaheed was mostly absent. He dropped the first pass he dropped. That was just good defense, but he still dropped it. The second one in the end zone, Carr kind of threw it behind him a little bit, but he still almost had a chance to make it. We've seen Shaheed make those type of plays, so he just didn't. He had two opportunities, and him and Carr couldn't get it together. Olave was great, as he usually is, but again, you need Shaheed to again step up and make one of those plays, at least one. If your quarterback is not going to put it there on the money every time, you got to come down with one of those plays. If you come down with one of those, again, we're not having this conversation. But offensively, again, we couldn't really run it because, again, no Taysom Hills. We don't have an extra blocker out there, and we don't have him to kick out to or to run the ball as well. So hopefully we get him back next week. I believe he had an illness or something. That's why he didn't play. But if that's the case, he should be healthy and clear to go moving forward. So I think the running game will be fine. But just handing it off to Kamara is not enough. Again, get Jamal Williams involved. Stop waiting to put him in the third quarter to give him one or two plays. Get him involved. He's a bruiser. That's somebody you can hand the ball to straight up, get 2 yards here, 4 yards there. And then you can kind of kick it out to Kamara. But again, you have Hill. And again, this game was on Clint Kubiak for me. Because the Eagles' defense was the story of this game. We talked about the two big plays that the defense gave up, and that was the difference. But again, we might not be having that conversation with those two big plays if the offense was able to generate more than 3 points in the first half. We just looked flat. We came out flat. We looked almost uninterested. I don't want to say that because, they're all trying to feed their families and make their money, but they just looked flat. They came out and looked lethargic. Like we were just going to do the same thing we did for the last 2 weeks, and we could have. But at the end of the day, it's still an NFL team. No matter what happened to them last week, they're going to come out and give you their best effort next week almost every time. That's what happens. And they did. Their defense played with all heart. They mustered up every ounce that they could and made that game something special for them. So you got to find that dog that we had the first 2 weeks, especially on defense. We were able to knock some guys around, especially Smith, which that was a great play. There was nothing foul about it. But we got to get that edge back. In the Falcons rivalry game, that's the perfect way to do it. Now, again, Kubiak, nasty work. That one play where he just threw it out to, I think it was Olave. I didn't like that at all. That run play y'all did, where Carr just went to the side, they knew you were going to run it. So that didn't really do anything to me, anyway. So I don't mind creativity because, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it doesn't, but don't do something obvious. I'd rather you would have sent Jamal Williams out there or sent Olave or Rashid or somebody out there that you have a potential chance to give the ball to and do that and say, okay, maybe they might pitch it this way. And then you try to go up the gut. But Derek Carr, that was so unbelievable. That was never, that was never going to work. So, again, Clint Kubiak, as much praise as everybody's giving you, I've stayed grounded and I've said, listen, it's adversity. How are you going to handle it? You got 2 road games in the next 3 weeks. How are you getting it? One of them's on prime time. You want to vie for a coaching job eventually, I'm sure you do. So if that's the case, I'm going to need to see, and you might be vying for this coaching job if Dennis Allen can't get it together. And again, if we start losing games, Dennis, the clock will be on you, and it might be time for Clint to get in there at the end of the season. So This is the last straw for you, Allen. Honestly, if we don't make the playoffs, it's gonna be fire brewing up under your tail. So I'm fine with us at least making the playoff, at least getting to a divisional game. Then you build momentum. Get a couple more good players in the draft. Do some dealing and dealing. But you have to come through for us. And like I said, keep being creative. We'll get Hill back eventually, and we'll be all right. Cowboys and Ravens, I don't really need to spend too much time on this. The same thing's happened to them the last 3 home games. They get run over. They try to attempt to make a comeback. The game was over. Yeah, the Ravens almost gave it away, but the game was over. They don't get the outside kick. We ain't having, that discussion. So the game was over. They tried a little valiant comeback. The Ravens eventually, I love the sneak of making it to Henry and just running himself. He's the best player on the team. 2-time MVP. Give him the ball. Let him either make a play or don't. And that's what happens when you're a big-time player. You make that play. So, good job by the Ravens. Cowboys, they'll be fine. They got the Giants. I mean, who cares? Thursday night football. Another disastrous Thursday night game we have to sit up here and watch. This game could have easily been on at 1 o'clock. Honestly. Yeah, it's sick. I get it's all money related and all that. There's going to be a lot of viewers. You could have got the same viewers on Monday. You could have easily put Saints Falcons on Thursday, division rivalry game. We know that game's going to be close. We know that for sure. But no, we get subjected to, or Eagles Bucks, there's plenty of other games on the schedule they could have put. So, nasty work by the networks subjecting us to watch this crap. But, yeah, they'll be fine. Honestly, there's a couple teams in their schedule that aren't ready to quite beat them yet. And they'll get ahead of the Giants, and then they'll get all happy, and you'll see Micah Parsons and Law, and, Diggs and all these guys jumping up and down acting a fool as they beat the Giants. Relax. You beat the Giants. Speaking of the Giants, they get a win. They get themselves off the 0-2 snide, and Malik Neighbors shows out. My boy, my LSU boy, shows out, as I knew he would eventually. And they got that connection going, and now he's got a guy, at least one guy, Harris Campbell occasionally, but he's got a guy in Neighbors who's going to be that next big time guy like Odell was. The question is, can they build around that and keep him? And Daniel Jones, if he plays the way he played against the Browns, he'll be just fine. But if he plays the way he played the first 2 weeks, not being able to hold on to the football, turn it over, inaccurate passes, not seeing the rush coming, he's going to be in trouble. So, again, it's early in the NFL. We don't know nothing yet. The only thing we know for sure is the Chiefs are going to be good. They're going to be a top team in the playoffs, no question about it. That's the only uncontroversial thing you can say. Everything after that is quite honestly, a mystery. So, again, Cowboys, same thing, relax. Ravens, I figured, we picked them. Me and Pops love the Cowboys, but picked the Ravens to win because at the end of the day, the Cowboys can't stop the run. And really on offense, unless they're leading, they can't really do anything on offense either. The connection and the cohesion isn't there. And, like I said, once that happens, you can start throwing it wide open to Bateman, wide open to Flowers, wide open to the tight ends. You can do a lot of different stuff. Justice Hill running free. So, like I said, it's nothing to do with the Cowboys. I want to get up here and troll them, and I will eventually. Like I said, they're going to beat the Giants, and then I'll really get to troll them after that. And, everybody will say, oh, they're all right. 2-2. Stop it. After the way the Eagles played, I felt a lot more confident in that. But, again, I had the Cowboys going 11-6. If you watch the Cowboys schedule breakdown that we had, I had them going 11-6. So they're right on schedule at 1-2. Like I said, the only difference is I had them possibly beating us and losing to the Browns. So they just swapped those out by beating the Browns and losing to us. But they lost to the Ravens like I thought. They'll beat the Giants like I think. And they'll be at 2-2. And then they got other teams like the Bengals and the Commanders and all that coming. So they're right on schedule, quite honestly. So nothing that has happened so far in Dallas is shocking or surprising. Now, the fact that we beat them as bad as we did was shocking, but the way things have played out is almost exactly how I thought they played out, minus a little switch up as far as who they won and lost to. But no, it's going right on plan. So I wouldn't panic if I'm a Cowboys fan. I wouldn't throw away the jersey just yet. Wait till you get to the playoffs to throw away the jersey. You know, you'll be about 11-6. You'll be a 5th or 6th seed, which means you'll be going on the road, possibly coming to the Dome or Atlanta or Tampa Bay or any one of the other teams, or the Packers, if they, keep doing what they're doing. So, we'll see what happens. But nasty work for the Cowboys. Love the effort at the end, but again, to me, the game was over after the half. It was over. And like I said, I talked a little bit about the Giants. Pretty much, Danny Dimes. He's Daniel Jones right now. I get Danny Dimes since he played well. But after Thursday, he'll be going back to Daniel Jones. So, Malik Neighbors, it's not going to be enough against that Cowboys defense. I don't think they can run the football on this defense at all. So, they'll be sitting at 1-3. But again, they could easily be 2-1 when they could have went on the road and beat the Commanders and let that one slip away. So, little things like that they did a couple years ago when they made the playoffs, when they were winning all these close games. So it can happen. They can definitely, hey, listen, this season is a long way from being over. A lot of things can still happen. So, it's not over for the Giants like I thought. Just like it's not over for the next team. We're going to talk about the Panthers. I said this before. Bryce Young, y'all want to talk about, it's a failure of the organization, and that has a bit to do with it, but he's just not that good. Or he's not good enough to be the quarterback for the Panthers. That's just what it is. Andy Dalton went out there, the Red Rifle, more experienced, veteran guy. He's won games with the Panthers, and the Saints, and the Bengals, and the Cowboys. So the man's been on 1,500 different teams. He's won games at home and on the road. He understands what it takes. So, again, I think people just seem to forget that. And I said if he went out there and looked good, it would be a wrap for Bryce, and it is. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think we have to start being honest and telling these guys what it is. It is what it is. He's just not good enough at this current time. Now, much like a Geno or much like a Sam Darnold, he can come back years later or whatever the case, being a good backup and come in and have a resurgence. But right now, it's just not available. Now, they did beat the Raiders, who, like I said, aren't going to be very good. They'll be competitive here and there, but they won't be very good. So I'm not going to sit here and act like they did something special. But I did predict if Red Rifle comes out there and it rejuvenates this team, like I said, it's Bryce Young is just, he's really frail and small, and that has a lot to do with it. But he's just inaccurate. That's what it is. So, and the same people that were on that field when he was there, the same people that Andy Dalton. And again, they get the job done, and they really run over the Raiders when it was close. So, I'm just saying, man, the coach, they did the right thing. Y'all can say, it's the organization. Well, the organization did the right thing at the end of the day and put in a guy that they think gives them a better chance of winning. Right now, it's not Bryce Young. So, like I said, maybe he just needs to back up the Red Rifle for a couple of games, and until he stinks it up, then you put him back in, and maybe he has a different attitude, and maybe he's a little more poised, and he can keep learning under Andy Dalton. Because Andy Dalton's, his career is, he's not going to be a starter for much longer in his career, but he's going to try to help a guy like Young out and try to get him involved. So I don't think he's just like, I got to start a job now. Here come the Panthers. No. He understands what's going on. So I expect him to uplift Bryce and continue to show him some different things and get him, see if he can help him out. That's just basically what it is. So, good win for the Panthers. They erased that 0, much like I said. No team is going to go 0-17. too much parity in the league thus far. The scores are kind of lower leaning. Offenses haven't been as productive. Even the Chiefs, we're still 3-0 at this point, haven't been as productive. We just saw the Saints do something almost impossible the first couple weeks. But other than that, it's been a little low. So, good job for Giants and Panthers getting road victories to erase their 0-win mark. Let's see. Oh, Chiefs. Well, I already talked about Chiefs and Falcons, so I guess I'll let that one go. Let's see. Trying to move around. Oh, Packers and Titans. Not really much to talk about in this game. Packers, like I thought, would run over the Titans. They're just not good at quarterback, so they're not good enough. And that's basically what I said, and that came true. Will Levis is just not that guy. He will give you the ball, and what you do with it is up to you. But the Packers, again, they got the guy who actually started over him looking like he's the second coming of Randall Cunningham. So, I don't know, man. The Packers look good. I mean, Jordan Love is going to be the guy when he's healthy and cleared to play, no question about it. He will be the guy. I don't want people to, say, oh, QB controversy like they're doing with Texas. You can stop. Every time somebody plays well against a bunch of nobodies, all of a sudden it's a stop. Stop that narrative. It's not going to work, especially with the Packers. He's done well. Willis has done well. Jordan Love is going to be the quarterback when he's healthy. Let's not even talk more about it. It's just what it's going to be. But yeah, Titans, man, what could have been this year? That's what they're going to be talking about at the end of the season. What could have been? Now, they are going to get a victory at some point. It might even be a division game on the road, as it seems to happen. But that hasn't been their fate, and it won't be their fate likely for a while. You got Ridley, you got my boy from Tulane, and Tajay Spears, you got Pollard, and you have New Hopkins, and you can't figure out how to put more points up in the fourth game. So, again, Will Levis not the guy. Turnover prone. Try to tell people that, they don't want to listen. But, when you listen to the podcast, you don't believe what I'm telling you. This is what's going to happen. So, nasty work for the Titans. And again, Matt LaFleur might be trying to get Coach of the Year because he has put his guys in the best possible position to win until they get the quarterback. Nothing more you can do. Cardinals and Lions. I knew the Lions would bounce back on the road because that's what good football teams do. Much like the Eagles did after losing a home game, you come back out and losing both the NFC South teams. And weird enough, they both come back out and beat NFC South teams on the road. How about that symmetry for the last 2 weeks for the South and both the Eagles and Lions? They both do the same thing one week and do the exact other thing the next week. Lions to me, I said both NFC South teams. My bad. Cardinals are in the NFC South, so I take that back. But they both did lose to NFC South teams at home. But then they both go on the road and show some fight initiative. That defense was outstanding, holding little Kyler down. And then their offense, it was fine. They had the one little play where they tossed it back, and that was all fun. But that offense still wasn't that good. So that might be a problem going forward. They made some good flash plays, but that offense still doesn't seem to be clicking. But it's early. And again, you go on the road and get that type of victory and demoralize the Cardinals team that really would have loved to have that win at home. That's the mark of a good team. So, good win, good road win for Dan Campbell and his crew and Aaron Glenn and company. They get the job done, like, again, a good playoff team does. You fall, come right back up, especially on the road, and you go dominate. And that's really what happened. They dominated. So, good job for them. Rams and Niners, not really much to talk about. Both these teams didn't really have their players. I picked the Rams to win. Oh, well, I didn't pick the Rams to win. I picked the Niners. I should have picked the Rams, but I just couldn't because they have no weapons. So they Kyron Williams and Matthew Stafford. But Niners missed the field goal. Great kickoff return earlier. Put them in position. And guess what happens when you do that? Give Stafford you really didn't give Stafford nothing to give him, a lot to work with in that situation. And we've seen that man. Did we not watch the Super Bowl when he drove down and put the game away with him and Cup? Him and Kyrie Williams what's that? Tutu Atwell and guys. Making plays. He threw a dime to Atwell. My Lord. And then the field goal to win it, rookie. That was beautiful. A beautiful moment, as it always is, when somebody who's never really kicked anything, as far as it being important, and knocks that down. Beautiful job by the kicker. He just punted that puppy up there. And the Rams, again, you could have been right in the wheel, but they find a way to get a victory. Now, much like the other teams, Panthers, Giants, and Titans, does that mean that they're going to be beaten this season, or does that just mean they beat a team out of desperation? Much like the Ravens. We have no idea. It's still early, but I don't know, man. I think one of their guys in Nakua and or Cup out for the season, one of the two, if I'm not mistaken. That's not good. In the long run, Tutu Atwell is good, but you need some other guys to step up in short distance plays as well. We need to drive down the field. So you're not always going to have that bomb, much like Derek Carr and Shaheed, same thing. You're not going to have that bomb go every week. So, like I said, we'll see what McVay and others can come up with. But nasty work for the Niners. You had a lot more weapons than the Rams had, and you couldn't close it out. Now you're 1-2. McCaffrey's going to be out for a little more. We don't know what's going on with Kittle. Bosa looks hurt. Trent Williams went down. I mean, the Niners, man, they're the most injury-prone team in America out of any sport. And when they're healthy, they can't win a Super Bowl. When they're not healthy, they can't make the playoffs. So if this health thing continues, Brock Purdy is not the guy to deliver you from evil. It's not that guy. When everything's on schedule, he'll be great. But when he's being asked to do something like that, no way. He needs all of his guys. Jawan Jennings is one of them, but that's not going to be enough to close out football games. You need somebody else, and they don't have that somebody else when you have all of your stars injured, other than Brandon Ayuk, and that just hasn't worked out as well this season either. So it's going to be a litmus test, but the Niners that could be over for the NFC West. The Seahawks look great right now. And we'll move on to that game. Seahawks devoured the Dolphins. Dolphins tried to fight it, just no Tua. I really thought they'd go on the road and take care of business because of the weapons they have, but Thompson just never had time, and when he did, he couldn't get it to the guys that he needed to get it to. So that was a wrap for the Dolphins. Great win by the Seahawks. Geno again. I didn't like the way he played in week 1. Most people were like he played great. I didn't think so. He has gradually gotten better every game. And the Seahawks look like a playoff. They might win this division. And if you're telling me they're going to win this division and be probably a 3 or 4 seed, they get to host a playoff game in Seattle, woo. That is not a place you want to be. Playoff time, it's cold, it's raining, man. Gino and DK, and then you got my boy running back in Carter. You got the defense with something with Woolen and those boys in the backfield. Hey, got a lot of young raw talent, and at the end of the day, they had better make it work. They have the talent to do it. New head coach and everything, a little innovative. They've got the talent to make the playoffs and get a home playoff game. And again, last place you want to go on earth for a playoff game is at Seattle. With that noise and that weather, boy, that's going to hurt for anybody to have to go in there, especially a team like the Cowboys. You don't want to have a situation to where, like I said, a team like Dallas has to go to Seattle for a wild card or a divisional football game, because you talk about adversity and what they faced the first couple weeks. That's the last thing, kind of adversity they need later on in the season. So, again, we'll see what happens, but great win for the Seahawks. Broncos completely destroy the Bucs, and Vikings completely destroy the Texans. Both these games were over probably from the first quarter. So that's why I'm lumping them together. Nobody saw either of these things coming. Now, if you want to say you chose that team to win, fine. But the Broncos, from beginning to end, just destroyed the Bucs. Baker turned back into a pumpkin right on schedule. Now, will he continue to pumpkinize himself? I don't know. But eventually, he was going to turn back into one, at least for now, like I predicted. So I just went with the Bucs because I didn't see any offensive production out of the Broncos, but I did say, Bo Nix, it's not all his fault, man. You got guys dropping passes, they're getting penalties at the line of scrimmage. Well, they turned that around. He was dropping some dimes, and he was running around, scrambling, making plays like we saw him do at Oregon, and Auburn, for that matter. And if he's able to keep this up, again, team that, like we're going to go on 3, a lot of teams that needed wins went on the road this week and got the job done. This is why I'm telling you guys, it's early. Nobody needs to panic. The only team that needs to have any type of feelings right now, like I said, is the Chiefs. Games they all really should have lost. But, again, doesn't matter. They won. And they look like they're going back to the AFC Championship game. And they might host it. So the Chiefs are the only team that should have any emotion, good or bad. And they should have mostly good. But every other team in the league right now, week to week, you have no idea what you're going to get. It's early. So, again, if you're the Texans, relax. Really, a lot of good teams get destroyed and still, get to the playoffs and do well. It happens. They didn't have it. For whatever reason, they just didn't have it. Offensively, and quite frankly, defensively, because they got Sam Darnold looking like the MVP right now. And if he's playing as well as he's been playing, he will be the MVP. And what a story. What a comeback story that would be for Sam Darnold. We just saw Geno do it before, so it can be done. So, congratulations for Sam and Geno, to be quite honest with you. But let's see if they can keep it up. Got another test this week, so we'll see how they handle it. But, man, Sam Darnold and the Vikings, man, that defense of Brian Flores, when he's bringing those blitz packages, it made C.J. Stroud very uncomfortable. And the tackling by the Vikings was great. You got Harrison Smith and Van Ginkel back there making plays. I mean, Justin Jefferson looks great. Of course, you got Aaron Jones. I mean, Sam Darnold's playing at an MVP level. This team is going to be scary. Again, it's early. You don't know which team we're going to get 1 week to the next, but they've been consistent so far. 3 weeks. They have been consistent. So hopefully they can keep that going. As far as, I guess the Texans will be fine. Their offense hasn't really looked good all year, but then you miss Joe Mixon in this game. They would have loved to have him to run it, to open up the play action and other things that CJ does well, but they'll be fine. I still expect them to win this division. They just had a rough game where they didn't have all the answers to the questions. It just wasn't their day. And again, that's okay. It's early. You can still, the thing is going to be, can you get hot late near the playoff time? And that'll be the thing. We've seen teams like the Rams and others, the Bucs can do that. So, and the Bengals for that matter. So we'll find out. But so far, so good for the Vikings, man. They're the number one team in the NFC, in my opinion. Chiefs the number one team in the AFC. So, playoff starter right now would probably be Vikings Chiefs, which would be an interesting Super Bowl. Sam Darnold, the prodigal son, trying to redeem the legacy and get Vikings Super Bowl. But anyway. Let's go. What's the other ball game? Oh, Bucks. Yeah. Again, it wasn't the Bucks day. I'm not gonna sit there and hate on the Bucks, even though I want to, because we gotta play them in a couple weeks, and that's always a tough game. We've had their number since Tom Brady was there, or really since before Tom Brady was there. But yeah, we put Tom Brady in a pretzel more times than one, and we put Baker in a pretzel here and there. But some crucial division games coming up in the next month or so. So we're going to have to perform well. And we're going to have to bring our A game every week. It's going to be, we're going to lose some games. I just think we're going to. But the question is, can we get the key division wins? And when we fall down, can we pick ourselves back up? Because the last couple seasons, we've been just about as average as you can be. 8 or 9-8, 7-10, or 8-9, whatever it was. It's been average. Back to really how we were for a little bit before that Super Bowl. and then a little bit after the Super Bowl. We just kind of average 8-8 every year, 8-8, 9-7, 8-8, 7, like, just average. So again, Derek Carr and company got to get together, but Bucks, again, it was one game. I did predict he would turn back into pumpkin status, but he can easily come back out. They have the Eagles at home. Remember the Eagles played them twice. The Eagles went there in sloppy weather, beat them. Faced them again in Tampa in another sloppy game, which they lost. So, and then when Tom was there in the playoffs, they got ran over. So again, they got a little history here with Jalen Hurts and the Bucks. And we saw Tom go down there. So they're, I believe, 1-3. 1-3. Well, no, take that back. Yeah, 1-3 with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback against the Bucks, with both Tom and Baker. That's not good. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to beat the Bucks on the road. We saw them do it last year in Monday Night Football, prime time, early game. We'll see what they're made of because the Eagles look angry, and the Bucks should be probably angry after that performance they put up against Denver. Denver's defense was great. Their offense was the question, and Sean drew it up. They were able to stop the penalties and turnovers, even though they got one that could have gotten the Bucks back into the game. They were able to right the ship and get it done in beating fashion. So, Pumpkinhead, he did what he does. So hopefully he'll be fine and he'll make things interesting for this NFC South race. But all the NFC South teams lost at the Panthers. So if that lets you know anything, it's just that it was another weird week in the NFL. When the Panthers are the only team to win, and it was a road. So just weird. And all the other teams were at home. So a little weird week in the NFL. But they get it done. Chargers and Steelers went about how I thought. I didn't foresee Justin Herbert getting hurt, but I figured the Steelers at home, low, scrappy, tough game. Yeah, I try to tell y'all he's going to be the starter unless or until they lose multiple games where he's the problem. And he just hasn't been. The defense is great. They get after you. TJ Watt's probably the best defensive player in the league. And then, again, Justin Fields is making dime-worthy throws. Run game can be a little better, but he's running around, he's making plays, man. So I just, 3-0, a lot tougher tests ahead. But that Chargers defense is for real. So, again, to get 20 points that they got was amazing in and of itself. But great job by Mike Tomlin again with just keep doubting him. But every time he shows up, and he shows up on time. And the Steelers are showing up right on time. Early in the season, it's early. But they're showing up. It's better be 3-0 on 3, 1-2, whatever. But they're up right now, so we'll see if they can continue their trick. What they try to do. But good win for them. Proud of them. And congratulations. Bears and Colts. We both get the Colts. I mean, it's home game in Indianapolis, one of the toughest places to play. Bears have multiple opportunities. Just Halen, he just doesn't. It's not working right now. And whose fault that is? It's much like the Bryce Young effect. Two Heisman winners who just can't seem to get it together. He's just not accurate. It's not college. You can't just run around 10 seconds and find somebody open every play. Not going to happen. You can't just run people over unless you take skill, of course. Or Derrick Henry. You can't just run people over. It's not going to happen every play. He's got to be patient. He's got to look through his reads. And like I said, just be more calm about it. And he just hasn't been, man. So until he is, they're going to keep losing. That defense is something special. That Bears defense is, boy. They had Anthony Richardson looking like he should have been back on IR at the same points in that game. But that defense is real. That defense looks a lot like the defense back when they had Mack and company. They were making the playoffs with Foles and that other kid. Trubisky. So, and again, if Caleb Williams just played marginal play at quarterback, and they can run the ball a little more effectively, this team is a playoff team. They can't be with that defense. Getting you turnovers and getting you good field position. definitely. They can be a team to be reckoned with. And I think that you have to look out for them because they're going to show up. And they're going to show up every time. So the question is just going to be, can they find a way to win games when he's not playing his best? You saw him do it against the Titans, even though Will Levis is one of the dumbest things you could ever do. He found a way. So, it's a great problem to have when your defense is great and you just need to find a way to win football games with marginal quarterback. So let's see if they can do that with Eberflus. Let's see if Eberflus can, find a way to win some tough close games, especially in the division. They're going to have some really tough division games. Vikings came out of nowhere. The Packers look great without Jordan Love. The Lions got a tough win. So, again, if they want to have any chance to fight for a last spot, they got to start winning tough games. And that was a tough game. They had every opportunity to win that game. And they just decided, no, Caleb's just throwing the ball all over the place. And he's not. I just don't think he's focused at all. And in order for them to get to a playoff spot or whatever the case, or at least have a winning record by the end of the season. Maybe you finish 8th or 9th, but at least you get momentum. You get another season of training camp and OTAs, being around your teammates, getting some more guys in there, getting Keenan Allen healthy, because that would help him as well. That's what he needs. Maybe that's just what he needs. Another year in the system. Bryce Young, again, he had another year and he didn't look great. So, we'll see what happens. But I believe Caleb is just he's going to be a good to great quarterback. He just has to settle down and get the cobwebs out of his ears and stop trying to, much like what Nussmeier's doing at LSU, to where it has to be a big play every play. I have to look for DJ Morris, Swift, or somebody downfield. You don't have to do that. Take what's given, and when there's a play available, put it on them. And they just haven't been able to do it. So, I think that he's going to be all right, but he's got to get out of his own head. And I think, again, he can be a nice leader and all, that's great, but how long is that leadership going to last when you're losing games and you're primarily the focus of losing those games? They're going to tune out. So, you had better get it together because all the other teams in that division are getting it together so far, and you're not. So, that's another edition of the podcast. I'll probably break down the Monday night games on Tuesday. Doubleheader, I love this. I've said it before. I hope they keep doing it. It does nothing more but get more eyes on the game and get more people to watch these teams. So I'll be doing that podcast probably Tuesday. And like I said, we'll be on video at some point in the next couple months. Just stay tuned for that. Had the cage set up at least decent enough to where, it looks good. And, we'll have everything ready to go. But, again, another weird week. A lot of blowouts, so wasn't really a lot of close games this week. I expect that to change next week because that's just how the NFL works. Sometimes it's just not a good week of football, but I expect this next week coming up to be a lot better. But, again, entertaining nonetheless. Again, Chiefs, Vikings, Seahawks, undefeated, look good. Bills going to play tonight. We'll see how they look. But, and Bengals need a win, desperately. So, a lot of things going on tonight, a lot of things that happened this week. Again, we still a lot we don't know, and we're going to learn a lot more. A lot of injuries happening this weekend. So we'll see who stays healthy and who's able to fight through it. But that's all for this podcast today. I'll tune in and chat with you guys tomorrow.